As I continue the month-long series on the nervous system, I want to hammer something today. Awareness is not enough to bring about change. You have got to do the nervous system work. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach, founder of SecureHusband.com. Every guy that I've ever talked to, every guy I've ever coached, myself included, dives into all of this information. We dive into the podcasts. We dive into the books. We understand attachment styles. We figure out our childhood wounds. We know exactly why we react the way that we do. We have the awareness. In fact, we have oftentimes a tremendous amount of awareness, deep awareness, and yet nothing changes in our circumstances. We still react, we still overfunction, we still chase, we still shut down, we collapse, we still tolerate the things that we say that we're not going to tolerate. And it's maddening because you think, I know better. I know what I need to do. Why do I keep doing this? This is why awareness alone will never be enough. True change requires something deeper than insight. Now, I want to start by saying something real quick. If you've followed this podcast for a while, you know that as part of the Secure Husband process, along with the inner child work, I do believe that there is a connection to a divine guidance. And whatever your belief system is, God, universe, higher spirit, whatever that is that you believe, I believe that there is an inherent sense of self-worth that comes from divine wisdom. I believe that there is divine guidance that shows us what unconditional love looks like because we didn't see it modeled and we don't know what that looks like. I just want to put that out there that goes along with what I'm talking about today. Connecting to that higher power, I believe, is important to healing. So keep that there. Now, let's go back to this idea why awareness alone will never be enough and why we need something deeper, something that goes down into our core. Now, we work with our inner child. We've understood our childhood wounds. We're now understanding more about attachment patterns and self-abandonment and boundaries and nervous systems. We understand all of this from a logical place. But what is happening in your life, in your marriage, is all rooted in the subconscious. It's in nervous system programming that's been developing your entire life, not just your adult life, your entire life. And I've talked about this all month long. You cannot outthink a nervous system that has been wired for decades for survival. You are going to have to retrain your nervous system. Awareness is powerful. Don't get me wrong. It's the beginning of change. The first step in the Secure Husband process is awareness. Just notice. And then the next step is an intent to change, an intent to take action. But awareness lives primarily in your thinking brain, that prefrontal cortex, that part of you that analyzes and reflects and understands patterns. We talked about patterns in a previous podcast. It's the logical part that says, okay, I get this. This comes from my childhood. This is my anxious attachment, or this is my fearful avoidant attachment. Yes, I understand. I see that I'm self-abandoning right now. That's all powerful. That's awareness. But when you get triggered, your nervous system does not operate from that part of the brain. It operates from the survival brain, the subconscious, the body. The survival brain doesn't care about patterns or insight. It cares about one thing, talked about this over and over this month in this series, keeping you safe. It cares about safety, and that's it. So in a calm moment, awareness is present in its forefront, but in a triggered moment, that automatic programming takes over. And that's why men stay stuck, because there's a difference between awareness and reprogramming. They're not the same thing. And your nervous system was programmed probably before you even knew how to walk and talk. Before you could reason things, before you could analyze, your nervous system was learning. It was learning from mom and dad. It was learning from your environment. It was learning from your caregivers. It was learning from your siblings. It was learning from all of these things around you. And I've talked about this before, but I just want to really hammer this in. It learned how connection felt, primarily how safe that connection felt, whether it felt safe or not. But it also learned how conflict felt. It learned how rejection felt. It learned how unpredictability felt, emotional distance. It learned what you had to do to stay connected. And when you're a child, some of those things are, be seen, not heard, stay quiet. How many of you heard that? Don't need too much. Don't upset anyone. Earn approval. Be good. Be helpful. These aren't conscious decisions. They're nervous system adaptations. And once those adaptations form, they become automatic. Not because you are choosing to do this, it's because your body learned them. Now, this is not anything new. We've been talking about this all month long, but I just really want to hammer in on this episode how this subconscious programming runs the show, and that awareness is not enough, and you have to do the nervous system work. The next podcast that we're going to do, we're going to take you through a practice of how to get that nervous system regulated. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a great wrap-up to our month-long series. But the subconscious programming is running the show here. When you learn how to work with your nervous system, it is powerful, it is freeing. When you understand that most of your relational behavior is subconscious and not conscious, because you don't decide to get triggered, you don't decide to feel panicked when someone's angry or they withdraw. You don't decide to shut down when conflict rises. Your nervous system runs a program and it's automatic. Bam, that program was written through repetition, years of repetition. And you're not going to overwrite it with just listening to some podcasts and reading some books. Awareness opens the door, but reprogramming requires repetition at the body level. And that's what next podcast is going to be, an exercise, again, that you can repeat daily and repeat while you're triggered. There's a whole difference between when you're calm and when you're triggered. You can understand patterns when you're calm, but when you're triggered, that adrenaline's kicking in, your fear's activated, that tightness in your chest, your heart rate goes up, your nervous system is shifting into survival mode. And in survival mode, the body prioritizes old wiring, not new understanding, because old wiring feels safer. Remember, only one job, keep you safe. So that's familiar, that's predictable, even if it is unhealthy. That's why if you find yourself, like I did, saying, I know what I should be doing, I just can't seem to do it. And I would beat myself up. I would be like, why can't you be disciplined, Bruce? And I would give, shame. Self-compassion was not something I was able to give myself. But it's not a discipline problem. It's a nervous system problem. And you can't think your way out of a somatic body response. Remember, if you grew up in an environment where speaking up led to conflict or rejection, your nervous system learned that you must stay quiet to stay safe. That if you said anything that upset the other person, that was wrath coming at you. That was a tidal wave of blowback. So now, and as an adult, you might intellectually know I need to express my needs, but when the moment comes, your body takes over. That's where your chest tightens, your throat gets like constrictive, and it becomes hard to talk. That's a body memory. You can't override a body memory with logic alone. We have to create new somatic experiences, new felt experiences of safety. This is how reprogramming will happen. All of this work that we've been doing, it was not a waste of time. It built the foundation for reprogramming. Now you've got a foundation. You understand all these things. You understand attachment styles. You understand all of this. We reprogram at the body level because awareness says I see the patterns, but rewiring says, okay, my nervous system now can experience something new on a repeated, consistent basis. The rewiring is somatic. It's in the body. Awareness is cognitive. That's in your brain. The rewiring is how we stop operating in the past and start living a whole new life. Felt experiences. Your nervous system learns through felt experiences. We give ourselves new experiences. We change that subconscious programming. We learn how to feel safe when we're expressing things. We can learn to feel safe when we're communicating boundaries. Feel safe in presence. Feel safe in stopping the chase. Feel safe in not people-pleasing. When your body experiences felt safety where it once felt danger, the programming updates. It takes time, but it's repetition and consistency. Your nervous system learned through repetition in the beginning, and it changes through repetition. It's just like going to the gym. You're not going to go one time to the gym and be like, wow, I'm fit now. Repetition. You're not going to have one moment, one breakthrough moment where, now I get it. No, it's consistent, repeated, regulated, felt experiences. And that's how neural pathways shift. That's how neuroplasticity in the brain takes over. I had somebody explain this to me one time. I don't know how many golfers are listening, but if you practice a golf swing incorrectly for 30 years, you can understand the correct swing intellectually, but it doesn't change your muscle memory. You have to practice the new movement repeatedly so that it's felt. It's that muscle memory, and it takes time. But you have to bring a sense of intentionality to it, and then the body learns. Well, your nervous system works the same way. Practice, repetition. And like I said, we'll have a practice in the next episode. And this is why I wanted to do this series on the nervous system, because guys get so discouraged when they learn all of this information and expect insight to produce instant behavioral change. They're like, I've done the work. Why am I still reacting? Why is the situation not improving? Why is change so hard? Because the insight and the awareness isn't the final step. It's just the beginning. The real work is training your nervous system to tolerate new experiences without referring back to old survival responses. That takes time. It takes patience. And it takes self-compassion. It takes compassion for your own wiring. That's where the lasting change happens. When you begin practicing regulation before reaction, you sit in the discomfort. You're present in that discomfort. You're staying in your body during conflict. When you want to run, when you want to argue, when you want to fight, when you want to flight, freeze, fawn, you stay grounded. You don't abandon yourself under pressure. All of those things come from your nervous system. All of those things are somatic. But every time you do that, it doesn't have to be perfect. Even imperfectly, if you can do that, your nervous system learns, hey, we can survive this without reverting to old patterns. So that's how subconscious programming shifts, by experience. And if you've been frustrated with yourself, thinking you should be further along, just hear this. You're not changing just your brain. You're not changing just thoughts. You are updating decades of nervous system conditioning. That takes repetition and that takes consistency. It's time. It takes self-compassion. No need to feel shame. Like I always say, no shame, blame, or guilt. No self-criticism. Be gentle. Every time you regulate instead of react, and you pause instead of collapsing, when you can stay present instead of abandoning yourself, you're doing the real work because that's felt work. That's in the body. It may not seem like a big deal in that moment, but that is huge, even if it feels small. It's all about practicing new felt experiences consistently. It's not beating yourself up because why am I not changed? It's because awareness without this just stays in your head. But when you can take this practice of turning insight into embodiment, into felt somatic experiences, that embodiment will create the lasting change. Yeah, awareness is powerful, but awareness alone is not going to rewire a nervous system shaped by years of subconscious learning. The real change happens when all that awareness and insight meets felt experiences. You have understanding and you have repetition. That compassion replaces the self-judgment, and you begin giving your body new evidence that safety and connection and self-respect can coexist because you feel it again and again. And then the new pattern becomes a familiar pattern. And that's when the real freedom begins. That's when you really start to live differently. I hope this podcast series has been helpful for you. It's been a lot of fun diving into all of this. And if you're not a subscriber to this podcast, if you're a new listener, would you hit that subscribe button? And if you're a longtime listener and listen to this every week, would you go give me a review? I'd really appreciate that. That helps other men find this podcast for their own healing. And share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. And next week, we will dive into more on the nervous system. But if you are struggling in your marriage and you need some accountability, somebody to help you hold your feet to the fire, I encourage you, visit securehusband.com. Just fill out that form for a free 30-minute consultation. No sales pitch, just a conversation to see, hey, will one-on-one coaching be beneficial to me? And I'll see you on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.